falls on darkened trees, whispers float upon the breeze. Lonely hearts and ancient tales fear the witch of Ashenvale. Crows above and shadows grow, footsteps echo soft and slow, casting spells with whispered words. In the night her voice is heard. Mad witch, can you hear? In the night we shake with fear. Mad witch, tales unveil, lost in Ashenvale.
The Mad Witch of Ashenvale, the flame of vengeance. In the far reaches of the realm, beyond the blackened mountains and forgotten forests, there was a name that sent shivers down the spine of even the bravest warrior: Seraphine, the Mad Witch of Ashenvale. Her legend was one of fire, rage, and devastation. Some said she was born of flame, others claimed she was once a noble woman whose mind had been shattered by grief and betrayal. Whatever her origin, all agreed on one thing: Seraphine was a force of pure, uncontrollable power, her fury capable of leveling kingdoms. For years she had lived in seclusion, deep within the fiery heart of the Ashenvale volcano, plotting her revenge on the world that had forsaken her. But now, after decades of silence, the earth trembled with her return, and the skies burned red with the flames of her wrath. The sky above Ashenvale had turned to fire. Clouds of ash and smoke blotted out the sun, and the very air seemed to sizzle with heat. On the ridge of the molten mountain stood Seraphine, her once beautiful face twisted with rage and grief, her golden hair whipped around her, a living flame in the wind, as the fires of her magic surged from her very soul. Dressed in battle-worn armor, Seraphine looked every bit the warrior she had become, but it was her eyes, burning with the intensity of 1,000 suns, that revealed the depth of her madness. Once, long ago, those eyes had known love, compassion, and mercy, but those days were gone, buried beneath the smoldering ashes of betrayal and loss. Seraphine had been wronged, and the world was about to pay for it. Before she became the Mad Witch, Seraphine was known as the Queen of Solara, beloved by her people and deeply in love with her husband, King Varan. She had ruled with grace and kindness, a guiding light for the kingdom in times of war and peace. Together they had built an empire that thrived on justice and prosperity, but darkness came in the form of betrayal. The war with the northern invaders had raged for years, and desperation had crept into the hearts of the Solaran Council. In a cowardly move to save themselves, they struck a deal with the enemy. Varan would be sacrificed, offered as a bargaining chip for peace. Seraphine had been kept in the dark until it was too late, until the moment she found her husband's body on the battlefield, lifeless and cold. The sorrow that filled Seraphine that day was beyond measure, but it was not sorrow that defined her fate. It was rage. Her heart shattered into 1,000,000 pieces, and from the ashes of her grief rose an uncontrollable fury. She cursed the council that had betrayed her, the kingdom that had turned its back on her, and the gods who had allowed her husband to die. In that moment, Seraphine made a vow. She would no longer serve a world so corrupt, so filled with treachery. She would burn it all to the ground. And with that vow, her powers, once used for healing and protection, became weapons of destruction. The fires of vengeance had been lit, and nothing could extinguish them. The ground beneath her cracked and burned as Seraphine unleashed her fury upon the world. Flames erupted from her hands, her eyes, her very soul. The mountains of Ashenvale, once dormant, came alive with fire and magma, the earth trembling as her power surged through it. The sky darkened as the smoke of her destruction filled the air, blocking out the sun, casting the world into eternal twilight. "Let them feel my pain," she whispered to the wind, her voice a venomous hiss. "Let them burn as I have burned." Seraphine was no longer just a queen or a witch. She had become a force of nature, a living embodiment of fire and vengeance. Her rage knew no bounds, her grief no end. She would scorch the earth until there was nothing left, until the world had been cleansed of its treachery. In the valley below, villages and towns that had once thrived under her rule were reduced to nothing more than kindling for her fire. People screamed and ran, desperately trying to escape the flames that devoured everything in their path. But there was no escape. The fires spread faster than any could flee, a raging inferno that consumed houses, crops, and lives without mercy. Seraphine watched the destruction with cold detachment. These were the same people who had cheered for her husband's death, who had betrayed her when she needed them most. They deserved this. The world deserved this. Still, somewhere deep within her, there was a flicker of doubt, a small, fragile piece of the woman she had once been. But it was drowned out by the flames of her madness, buried beneath the weight of her grief and rage. The earth beneath Seraphine trembled as she summoned the full force of her power. The flames that surrounded her grew taller, brighter, more intense, until they were no longer just flames. They were the very essence of destruction. Her hair, once golden, now burned with an ethereal light, her eyes glowing with the power of the fire within her. She was the mad witch of Ashenvale, the bringer of flames, and the world would burn beneath her feet. "Varen," she whispered, her voice filled with the weight of her sorrow, "I will avenge you." With those words, Seraphine unleashed her final spell, a cataclysmic wave of fire that spread across the land, splitting the earth beneath her, tearing apart the mountains and valleys, the cities and kingdoms, until nothing remained but ash. The flames consumed everything except Seraphine. As the world around her crumbled, she stood alone, her body still aglow with the fire of her rage, her mind lost to the madness that had taken hold of her soul. When the fires finally died down, when the earth had finished trembling, and the sky had cleared of smoke, all that remained was ash. The once vibrant world was now a wasteland, a barren, charred landscape that stretched as far as the eye could see. Seraphine stood at the center of it all, her armor scorched and her hair still glowing faintly with embers. She had won. She had avenged Varen. But at what cost? The world was gone, and so was the part of her that had once known love and compassion. She was now a creature of fire and fury, a being of pure vengeance, her mind lost to the madness that had consumed her. And though she stood victorious, there was no peace, no satisfaction, only the endless burning pain of loss.
Moonlight falls on darkened trees, whispers float upon the breeze. Lonely hearts and ancient tales fear the witch of Ashenvale. Shadows above and shadows grow. Footsteps echo soft and slow, casting spells with whispered words. In the night her voice is heard. Mad witch, can you hear? In the night we shake with fear. Mad witch, tales unveil, lost in Ashenvale. That glow like embers burn in the woods where shadows turn. Magic dark as night prevails, her sorcery in Ashenvale. Spells she weaves with fire and ice, voices cold as darkened skies. Fear the power, fear the night, mad witch hidden just in sight. Mad witch, can you hear? In the night we shake with fear. Mad witch, tales unveil, lost in Ashenvale.